Hello and welcome to the sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Washington, D.C. I'm Nick Miller alongside Mike Derczo. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Nick?
We have seen you do very well at our Legacy Open Series. Got a couple top 8s. You're on pace already to do another one here in D.C. an 8-1 start.
Yep.
And, we've seen Death and Taxes before, but you've got a pretty interesting build going today. We've seen this kind of taxing white weenie strategy before. You got Mother of Runes, Thalia, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep.
But you have cut some cards, moved some cards around to make room for specifically the new Vryn Wingmare 4 of from Magic Origins. We've seen this card pop up. People say, is it good enough? You think it is?
Yeah, so like Glow Rider's been around for a while. Glow Rider is essentially Wingmare, except it doesn't have flying. But I think the flying's a really big deal in this deck. You have Stoneforge with the equipment package, so being able to suit up a flyer and trigger your Jite or your Sugar Fire and Ice is a really big deal. Beyond that, there's not a lot of Sultai around right now, so I was able to cut the Crusaders and move the Phyrexian Revokers to the sideboard to accommodate 4x Vryn Wingmare.
Right, when we see these builds, there's only so many flex slots D&T players will say they have.
Yep.
So you have to make concessions somewhere, with Sultai kind of going down, Grixis going up. I assume the Crusader kind of makes room for that. Now, with Ringmare, you also have Thalia in conjunction. So are you often getting like double of these taxing pieces?
Yeah, obviously if you're, Vryn Wingmare being non-legendary, you could have 2 of it in play itself. But Vryn Wingmare in play in conjunction with the Thalia, people are brainstorming for 3 mana, and that's Axis I'm very happy to fight them on.
You got to be pretty happy if they're spending 1 mana to do that.
Yep.
Now, of course, you've also changed a couple other things. You got the full 4 Saravenger, so you have 12 flyers in your deck along with the Flicker Wisp, so you can really beat through the air.
Yeah, Saravenger in conjunction with Mother of Runes is a gigantic beating against the Delver decks. They can't attack, they can't block. It's really sweet. Another thing to note, with the prevalence of the Omniscience decks, I've relegating the Revokers to the sideboard. I'm also running 2 Ethersworn Canonists in the main deck.
Right, that's usually the card we see in the sideboard.
Yeah, and it also has a little bit of splash damage against like the Cabal Therapy Pyromancer decks. Kind of slows them down a little bit. I sideboard the card out very often, but I'm happy to have it in the main deck with all the Omniscience.
Right, it's interesting. We've seen this archetype around for a long time. We've seen you play the archetype a lot and kind of see these slight shifts in the metagame and how you kind of build your deck toward that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no radical changes other than the Short Time Treasure Cruise was legal in Legacy.
Sure.
There's no real radical changes to the metagame. So I'm a big believer in just learning your deck inside and out and making slight accommodations with the shifts in the metagame.
Right. We've seen, Rashadenport, Wasteland, the backbone in this deck. You also have Karakas to kind of fight some of the unfair decks, but you also have a Factory in here too. This is kind of your land flex slot.
Yeah, a lot of people play Cavern of Souls or Horizon Canopy in the slot. I mean, I think playing this deck correctly, I don't really think you need the Horizon Canopy effect. And with all the Delver decks, like the 1 life is a real cost. This does not produce white mana. I'm like definitely cheating a little bit in that regard. But I just find the card so insane in conjunction with the equipment. So, particularly against Miracles.
Right. As we usually do with our Legacy Opens, the Delver decks kind of rise to the top. As such, you're at the top of the standings too. You get to play a lot of those decks, which is favorable matchups.
Yep.
So we've seen, take Danny Jessup down yesterday with basically 2 cards.
Well, I'm happy to see I think his brother kind of fell off a little bit. His brother plays Elves, which is by far the worst matchup for this deck.
Yeah.
They're spamming creatures, and that's like the one axis that you're not attacking on.
Sure.
So
let's grab the sideboard real quick.
Sure.
A couple of cards. You got 2 Cataclysm, 2 Council's Judgment, 2 Containment Priest.
Yep.
Where are these guys shine?
So Containment Priests, very good against Dredge, very good against Emrakul decks. Council's Judgment is a nice catch-all, particularly deals with True Name Nemesis. Cataclysm, very good against lands, but it's usually lights out if you can resolve it against the Miracles decks. Especially now with them adopting Mentor, it's really good at cleaning up all the excess nonsense.
Okay.
I would like to, so the one change I did make was I moved cut a Ratchet Bomb in favor of an Absolute Law. That was on the recommendation of Paul Lynch. given all the the punishing fire land style decks in the area. So
seems really good with
Yep.
this area being so lands heavy,
Yeah.
having some tools to fight that.
I'm also playing an extra pithy needle than normal. Very good against lands. Maze of Ith is a really annoying card, and it's better than Revoker against Miracles because it can't be Terminus or Swords away. So one thing to note, it doesn't hit mana abilities, so never put a pithy needle down on Lion's Eye Diamond. You'll look really stupid.
That's a note to take home. Well, as always, Death and Taxes looks great. You're off to another solid start here. We wish you the best of luck in day 2. For Mike Derczo, I'm Nick Miller. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in DC.